Superman and Solo Leveling, a non-harem fan FIC, Chapter 01-13, author by Slimesage. Chapter 01, A Life Remembered. Calvin Booker, a seasoned old man, held the esteemed position of managing the most renowned pub in town. His life story was a tapestry woven with courage, resilience, and unexpected companionship. Enlisting in the army at the tender age of 18, Calvin valiantly confronted the Nazis during the tumultuous years of World War II. His dedication led him to serve the military for an impressive 30 years, ascending to the rank of colonel. Fate, however, dealt him a cruel hand when he narrowly survived an assassination attempt, sacrificing his left arm in the process. This event forced his early retirement, but the government's gift of a prosthetic arm served as a testament to his indomitable spirit. Rather than succumbing to despair, Calvin charted a different path. While many might have ventured into politics, he embarked on a journey to establish a pub. Supported by friends and connections, he diligently laid the foundation for a stable income source. 2 decades passed as Calvin skillfully managed his establishment. During this time, an unlikely companion became an integral part of his life. A remarkably intelligent chimpanzee, named Caesar, emerged as an essential member of the pub's team. Calvin discovered Caesar during a hike, wounded by a hunter's rifle. Nursed back to health, Caesar's exceptional abilities found a new purpose as a waiter in the pub. Caesar's rapid mastery of his role astounded patrons. In just 5 days, he grasped the basics of waiting tables, and within 10 days, he was making no rookie mistakes. While some were captivated by this spectacle, others turned away, their indifference unimportant to Calvin. The years flowed, and Caesar became a steadfast companion to Calvin. Their bond was unique, defined by understanding and camaraderie. However, life's ebb and flow eventually led to Caesar's passing, leaving Calvin grief-stricken. In a sterile white room, Caesar, resembling a 10-year-old boy in size, breathed laboriously. Beside him stood Calvin, an elderly figure, tears tracing paths down his weathered cheeks. A final connection passed between them as Caesar's grip on Calvin's hand slowly loosened, coinciding with the long, mournful beep of the vital sign monitor. The room erupted in a flurry of medical professionals as doctors and nurses rushed to Caesar's side. Guided by a nurse, Calvin retreated from the room, wiping his tears away. The doctor's sorrowful shake of the head confirmed Caesar's departure. 5 years elapsed since Caesar's passing. Calvin found solace in movies as his body succumbed to age. His strength waned, breathing and movement growing arduous. He sensed his impending mortality, yet desired one last experience, to feel the warmth of affection and ensure the pub's legacy. Embracing his paternal instincts, Calvin adopted Ellie, a 10-year-old girl initially wary of him. Over time, their bond flourished as Calvin navigated fatherhood, imparting pub management skills while securing Ellie's education. A decade of perseverance yielded Ellie's triumphant graduation with summa cum laude honors. With Calvin's teachings ingrained, Ellie confidently managed the pub alongside her devoted boyfriend. Calvin's protective instincts flared upon learning of Ellie's relationship, a reaction he nearly acted upon. However, Ellie's boyfriend proved his commitment by shielding her when confronted with Calvin's shotgun. Over 5 years, the couple earned Calvin's blessings, culminating in marriage. Calvin embraced his newfound role as grandfather to Ellie's son, Elijah. Time flowed relentlessly, and old age eventually claimed Calvin's sight. In the same hospital where Caesar drew his final breath, a poignant scene unfolded. Ellie, her husband, and their son Elijah surrounded Calvin's bedside as his life ebbed away. Through their care, he experienced the depth of affection that had eluded him for so long. Elijah's tearful farewell and Ellie's grief-stricken eyes painted a portrait of love and connection. Amidst their tears, Calvin's grip on Ellie's hand mirrored the connection he once shared with Caesar. With gratitude in his heart, he whispered, "Thank you," before surrendering to his final slumber. The room filled with the resonant beep of the vital sign monitor, a symphony of life and its conclusion. On May 19, 2022, Calvin Booker breathed his last breath at the age of 88. Leaving behind a legacy rich in experience but devoid of romantic connection. Yet, this was not the end of Calvin's journey. As Calvin's eyes reopened, he found himself in the presence of towering figures with enormous eyes. His gaze met those of medical professionals, engaged in a seemingly perplexing situation. "It's a boy," exclaimed a surgeon clad in green scrubs, addressing a woman whose exhausted visage betrayed the labor she had endured. The woman, her face glistening with sweat, reached out eagerly as her newborn baby boy was handed to her. Yet, to her surprise, the baby remained silent, his confusion palpable in his gaze. "Why isn't he crying like in the movies?" she queried, concern etching her features. Baffled, the doctor used his stethoscope to confirm the baby's heartbeat. A rhythmic thud reassured them of his vitality, though his absence of cries puzzled the medical team. A sense of urgency filled the room as nurses hurried to address the situation. Suddenly, a triumphant cry pierced the air, prompting collective relief. The baby's voice filled the space, his presence solidified. Mother and child reunited, their bond deepening with every coo and tender touch. Amidst this scene, a middle-aged man burst into the room, his exuberance halted by the mother's commanding aura. As the room's tension simmered, a red aura of maternal authority enveloped the woman, silencing the man's exuberance. Undaunted, he attempted to explain himself, sweat betraying his unease. However, the mother's attention remained firmly on her newborn, soothing him into drowsy contentment. In the midst of life's complexities, Calvin Booker's narrative had transcended its earthly confines. The chapters of his existence continued to unfold, entwining with new lives and stories yet to be written. Improved words, text, grammar, and story 30,000 Wars. Chapter 02. When Calvin woke up, he saw a ceiling with a baby mobile with birds attached to its strings. "Where am I?" Calvin thought before remembering his experience earlier. "Giants!" he shouted in shock, but what came out was baby cries. Slam! The door was opened and a beautiful lady went inside and carried Calvin in her arms. "SSSHHH, Mommy's here!" she cooed while the earlier man entered with a bruise on his nose. He was just about to cuddle his wife when Calvin cried, then his wife pushed him out, slamming his nose on the floor. "Poor man. Daddy's here," the man cheerfully said while making some funny poses. "So they're not giants, huh?" Calvin thought in his mind, if his guess is right, then he must have been reincarnated as a baby. At first, he thought he went back in time, but he could see that his father doesn't resemble his father in his past life, while the same for his mother. In Calvin's last life, his mother died of disease while his father died in war, making him an orphan. Now that he's alive again, and this time he has parents to lean on if ever he has any problems in life. He wanted to protect them, but he can't for now. He's just a baby. So he still has to wait to grow up, if he wanted to protect his loved ones. While these thoughts were running through his head, his mother finally noticed that Calvin stopped crying, so she cooed for the last time before bringing him back to his crib. Once they left his room, Calvin slowly fell asleep. -8 years later. It has been 8 years since his rebirth. There are many things that he discovered. First of all, he's strong as hell for a baby. Why? Well, in his first month here in this world, his mother brought him outside, and it also exposed him to the sun. And when they went back, he started crawling like a bug. At first, he tried to hide it cause he knows that once the government heard of what he did, he is sure that they'll take him to a lab. But alas, it seems like fate was against him. His parents knew about it, and then he knew why there is a fucking camera in his room. But instead of being shocked, they just shrugged it off by saying that I have a future to be a hunter. Hunter? What's that? I mentally asked this myself. Since then, I started crawling around the house. My parents even bought an edge protector and placed it around the house. And then 8 years have passed, and now I'm walking around our garden. One thing is, my family is fucking rich. Like very rich. And I'm also Japanese, and this world has something supernatural called gates, where monsters of different races reside, while hunters with different ranks that determine their strengths are humans who awaken different powers or mana and use them to protect their fellow humans from the monsters. Both my parents used to be hunters, but they retired and achieved success through business and politics. My father was a politician while my mother is a CEO of a pharmaceutical company. With a politician dad and a CEO mom, many people were jealous of my position. During these years, I discovered that the sun was making me stronger like Superman, my favorite hero. Super strength, super speed, X-ray vision, and even cold breath, though I can't seem to fly like Superman. That'll be the problem of the future me. Oh, and by the way, my name is not Calvin anymore, instead it is Akano Kenji. Right now I'm walking around the garden while the sunlight was nourishing my body, making it stronger and more durable. I'm currently waiting for my tutor who will teach me in every subject. A maid went inside the backyard and informed him, "Young master, your tutor Tawada Shina is here." I nodded at her, and she just bowed in respect. So I went inside and saw her sitting there with books on her side. Once I went in, I greeted her as usual. "Good morning, Shina-sensei." She responds in return, "Good morning to you too, Kenji-san. Let us start with a math lesson." God, I hate math. I rolled my eyes but still decided to study diligently for my parents. A few hours later, my parents arrived back home and greeted me and my sensei. "Good evening, Shina-san." My mother Akano Hana greeted her as she walked toward me and pinched my cheeks while she continued, "And good evening to my baby." Ouch. "Welcome back, Mom and Chad," I said while Mom is still pinching my cheeks, which is the reason why I can't properly pronounce a word. "It seems my little boy is studying very hard." "My dad," Akano Chikashi said while ruffling my hair. Sensei stood up and greeted the both of them. "Welcome back, Chikashi-san, Hana-san. I told you, no need for formalities, you could just call us by our names, you know." Hana pouted. "I'll keep it in mind." She bowed her head. "Anyway, you should invite your daughter, Kane, here tomorrow. It's Kenji-chan's birthday," she said while hugging me tightly in her bosom. "Hi." She nodded. "Then please excuse me, I'll be going now." She bowed. My parents nodded and she left while a maid called us and said that the dinner is ready. Tomorrow morning, inside a room full of toys, a child was sleeping peacefully when suddenly the door was opened. "Happy birthday, Ken-chan!" His mother, Hana, shouted while blowing a birthday trumpet. Waking up groggily, Kenji rubbed his eyes and saw his mother and father along with the maids and butlers was inside his room. When he heard what his mother said, he smiled happily and thanked them. In his past life, he never celebrated his birthday due to his father being always in war while his mother was sick. So seeing his new parents celebrating his birthday makes his heart very warm. With that, they went outside his room to continue celebrating his birthday. A few minutes later, his sensei Shina along with her daughter, Tawada Kane. When Kenji first saw her, nothing happens. "What? Do you think he's some kind of a pedophile that lusts for a 5-year-old kid? Well then think again. Even if he's a virgin in his past life, he still has his morals." So he did what a normal kid should. He walked up to her and greeted her. "Hello there, my name is Akano Kenji, what's yours?" He held out his hand for a handshake. "And my name is Kane," she answered while hiding behind her mother. "Well then, nice to meet you, I hope we could be friends." Kenji smiles, which seems to ease Kane a bit. Meanwhile, on the back, his father nudged his wife Hana and whispered, "I won," while Hana just rolled her eyes at her husband's antics. Chapter 03: The Unlikely Bond. The birthday party drew in a diverse crowd of attendees, ranging from his parents' close friends to prominent politicians. Amidst the throng, he encountered numerous hunters who served under his mother. Some of the politicians attempted to introduce their daughters to him, an endeavor that did not pique his interest and left him feeling rather ill at ease. Mentally aged at 93, the prospect of young women being practically offered for social connections seemed more awkward than appealing. His discomfort didn't escape his father's notice, who tactfully intervened by diverting the attention of the politicians elsewhere through engaging conversation. Taking the opportunity to escape the intrusive conversations, he sought out Kane. There she was, still nestled beside her mother, clutching her skirt, and idly chewing on something. Approaching her, he struck up a conversation. In stark contrast to the earlier pretentious youngsters, Kane exuded a different aura. Her demeanor was composed, her behavior mature beyond her years, a comfort that put him at ease. "Are you enjoying the party?" he inquired gently, noticing her mother's reassuring pat before she discreetly left them to converse. Kane merely nodded, her gaze averted. "How can I captivate a child's interest?" he pondered inwardly. After all, recounting his World War II experiences wouldn't exactly make for riveting conversation. "Would you like to hear a story?" He decided to break the silence, reaching out to engage her. Her nod of affirmation encouraged him, and he began, "Allow me to share the tale of the Beauty and the Beast." He recounted the narrative with fervor, taking her on a journey through the classic story. Upon concluding the tale, he observed how typically storytellers would pause for a drink or to refresh their vocal cords. Yet, unlike them, he found himself unaffected by the need for water even after an uninterrupted 10-minute dialogue. It seemed he possessed a resilience akin to Superman's, an observation that prompted a wry smile. Kane's perspective, anxiety prickled at her as she navigated the unfamiliar waters of the birthday party. Her mother's insistence that she attend had seemed more a torment than a delight. However, the revelation that her mother's student was hailed as the cutest kid in Japan, and her own secret crush added a novel dimension to the situation. The fascination had begun a month ago, when they watched television together. The screen had presented him as the embodiment of those accolades. The cutest kid in Japan, and the youngest awakened. His features, his smile, his very presence, it had all coalesced into a form of enchantment that she couldn't shake. Thus, as she stepped into the party venue, her eyes roved restlessly, seeking out the object of her affection. And indeed, he materialized, striding towards her. Panic seized her. What should she say? Hello? Happy birthday? The weight of a first impression bore down on her. As if on cue, he spoke. Greetings, I'm Akano Kenji. What's your name? Stammering and stumbling, she managed, I am Kane. Internal monologue berated her. Kane, you fool. First impressions matter. Yet. His smile alleviated her anxiety. However briefly, before he was summoned by his parents to attend to other guests. Would he judge her for her lackluster performance? Would he reject a girl who faltered during their first interaction? Such worries plagued her as she emitted a long, frustrated sigh. Her mother's gentle pat on her head and her shared confectionery experience momentarily distracted her from her turmoil. With a chocolate in hand and cake in mouth, she relished the fleeting contentment before Kenji's reappearance. Third-person perspective. Aware of her daughter's musings, Sheena smiled, a silent understanding of the adolescent tumult that raged within her. Patting her head, she strolled towards the refreshment table, her daughter in tow, clutching her skirt like a lifeline amidst the unfamiliar surroundings. Mouthfuls of cake were devoured, and chocolates sampled with a pure and blissful delight. She whispered a maternal reminder about tooth-brushing before withdrawing, leaving the two to their conversation. Kane's perspective, Beauty and the Beast, a tale spun with elegance. Her admiration, however, had sidetracked her from the narrative itself. The fantasy in her mind depicted a heroic rescue, a knight in shining armor saving her from some imaginary peril, images reminiscent of her mother's bedtime tales. Did you enjoy the story? His voice tugged her back from her musings. I like you. The words were out before she could restrain them. Mortification flooded her as she met his gaze, her sentiment clear. Like me? Kenji's confusion was evident. Retracting her sentiment, she hastily corrected, I mean, I like the story. His understanding nod eased her internal mortification. Third-person perspective. Navigating the evening amidst intermittent interruptions from other party attendees, Kenji and Kane fostered a unique connection. As the event concluded, Kenji bid farewell to Kane, expressing his desire to meet again soon. Her cute nod in response brought a genuine smile to his lips as mother and daughter prepared to depart. In the aftermath of the festivities, the Akano family remained their home imbued with a sense of tranquility. Kenji embraced his parents, gratitude conveyed through simple gestures and heartfelt hugs. The depth of emotion contained within those seemingly unassuming words echoed resoundingly. Hana's smile radiated maternal warmth as she embraced her son, and Chikashi reciprocated with equal affection, solidifying their bond as a family. The maids, like shadows in the background, bore witness to the intimate moment, offering silent support. Amid the tender tableau, the unwrapping of gifts commenced. From his father, Kenji received a necklace that emitted a radiant blue light, capable of forming a protective shield at the detection of malevolent intent. It symbolized his parents' protective love, able to withstand the mightiest onslaught from A-rank monsters. Expressions of gratitude exchanged, Kenji delved into the gift from his mother. A paper within revealed his enrollment in a school, a monumental gift that resonated deeply with him. It held the promise of a childhood denied in his previous life due to the untimely loss of his parents. Memories of orphanage life and military service contrasted with this opportunity. The prospect of camaraderie and education beckoned, stirring his heart. Starting tomorrow, you'll be attending the same school as Kane. His mother's announcement stirred a sense of anticipation within him, a longing to embrace the experiences he had missed. Night descended, wrapping the Akano family in its serene embrace. A peaceful sleep awaited them, a tranquil prelude to the dawn of Kenji's new journey. Chapter 0 For the first day's challenges. Dawn arrived, and Kenji, brimming with excitement, roused from his slumber with the sun. A quick trip to the bathroom, and he was off to the dining hall for breakfast. Good morning, Mom, Dad, he chimed, sliding into his favorite chair as he had countless times before. "Good morning, Ken-chan," his mother greeted, her pinch turning his cheeks an inexplicably red shade. The uncanny strength of a mother's pinch was bewildering. Even he, with his superhuman resilience, found himself blushing under her touch. "Morning, kiddo," his father greeted between bites of his sandwich, his eyes glued to the newspaper. Savoring his breakfast, Kenji listened as his mother reminded him, "Take a shower and get ready. Today is a big day." Nodding in agreement, he hurried upstairs, driven by a fervor to test his strength. In the gym, he put his abilities to the test. Lifting barrels of increasing weight, he marveled at his newfound strength, until a strain manifested when he reached 30 tons. His power surpassed human comprehension, a force capable of superhuman feats. His speed was equally impressive. He could dodge bullets with ease, a testament to his incredible agility. Durability was his forte, but there was a caveat. Magic proved to be his weakness, a vulnerability that demanded attention. His abilities mirrored Superman's, with his cold breath, X-ray vision, and heat vision at his disposal. However, the ability to fly eluded him, a skill he yearned to conquer. Showered and dressed in his school uniform, he rejoined his parents in the dining hall, impressing them with his extraordinary speed. Eagerly, they set off in the limousine, his mother's words of advice intertwined with his father's unconventional wisdom. Arriving at the school, they were met with an odd crowd of students, their gazes akin to scrutinizing a rare spectacle. Kenji's ability to hear even the faintest whispers made him privy to their hushed musings. Navigating the throng, he zeroed in on a familiar whisper. It was Kane, fingers nervously tapping together, her cheeks a shade of pink. As he approached, the crowd parted, allowing him to reach her. "Kane," he called, eliciting a reaction from the blushing girl. "Ah, Kenji-kun," she stuttered, fingers fumbling in a display of shyness. Her invitation to guide him around the school was met with his gratitude, and they embarked on the tour together. Kane's presence was a comfort amidst the sea of curious gazes. Walking hand in hand, they explored the school premises, their connection growing stronger. Finally, they arrived at their classroom, where Kenji greeted the class with genuine warmth. Their replies were equally enthusiastic, forming an amicable atmosphere. Kenji's attention shifted to Kane's seat, his eyebrows arching as he observed the scribbles and crumpled papers surrounding it. Words like cheater and cheater goes to hell adorned the discarded sheets. His bemusement was replaced by a sigh, pondering the eccentricities of youth. Amidst the misunderstanding, Kane's tears fell like fragile rain. In an instant, Kenji's embrace enveloped her, his soothing touch offering solace. Around them, the student body averted their gazes, a collective awareness of their role in this situation. But Kane's internal turmoil misconstrued his sigh, leading her to believe he questioned her honesty. In a desperate attempt to clear her name, she stammered, "I didn't see cheat," her tears flowing freely. His comforting hug allayed her fears, the warmth of his embrace quelling the storm within her. Kenji's own sigh echoed a sentiment of perplexity, a realization that today's youth bore complexities that transcended his past experiences. Recollecting his own daughter's ordeal, falsely accused of cheating, he intervened and uncovered the truth, a tale of manipulation that mirrored Kane's predicament. The recollection bolstered his empathy, and he held Kane tighter, validating her innocence through his actions. As the moment passed, Kenji's understanding gaze met the guilty glances of his peers. It was a silent acknowledgement that he knew their role in perpetuating this misunderstanding. Eventually, Kane's tears abated, and she raised her head to meet his gaze. With a reassuring smile, he whispered, "Who?" His question held no judgment, only a shared understanding of the trials they faced. To be continued. Chapter 05 Unveiling the Truth. Flashback to Kane's past. The corridors of the school echoed with the laughter of students. Kane had stepped into the vibrant realm of school life, filled with the excitement of new friendships and the promise of knowledge. In the beginning, everything was a whirlwind of introductions, new faces, and engaging conversations. Teachers admired her keenness, and peers eagerly befriended her. It was a time of delight and promise. As days turned into weeks, Kane established herself as a model student. Her impeccable grades drew admiration, and the teachers' smiles reflected their pride. She shared camaraderie with a group of friends, engaging in animated discussions about food, colors, and even crushes. It was all a part of a joyous routine. However, the elation soon gave way to turmoil. An innocent revelation, a seemingly harmless admission, tore her world apart. When she disclosed that her mother, Sheena, was her at-home tutor, a chilling silence swept over the room. Friends who had once been inseparable distanced themselves, teachers grew reserved, and Kane's paradise crumbled. She faced accusations of cheating, whispers that her mother was doing her assignments, bolstering her grades artificially. Her reputation took a fall, her once supportive classmates now shunning her like an outcast. Each day brought new torment, more subtle forms of cruelty that broke her spirit bit by bit. The breaking point came when she found her books vandalized and scornful words scribbled across her belongings. The laughter that once filled the air turned into hushed mutters and pointing fingers. The weight of false allegations bore down on her, drowning her in a sea of isolation. Kane's tears and silence. For a month, Kane endured the torment, the whispers, and the isolation. With each day, she withdrew further, her cheerful spirit replaced by a fragile facade. A veil of tears and silence concealed the turmoil within, a cry for help silenced by fear and self-doubt. During those times, Kane found solace in the only friend she had left, her mother. But even then, the fear of disbelief and rejection silenced her cries for help. The once bright world of school turned into a place of shadows, where every corner hid a potential enemy. Back to the present school rooftop. Seated on the school rooftop, Kane recounted her past to Kenji, reliving the pain she had kept hidden for so long. As her voice faded, she braced herself for his response, her eyes searching his expression for any sign of judgment. His empathetic smile caught her by surprise, a beacon of understanding that thawed the ice around her heart. It was as if he had reached into the depths of her soul and pulled her pain to the surface, acknowledging it without reservation. "I believe you," he declared, his words cutting through her doubts and insecurities. The warmth in his voice was a balm to her wounded spirit, igniting a spark of hope that had long been extinguished. Tears welled up in her eyes, this time not from pain but from the overwhelming relief of being heard and believed. She had found a friend, a pillar of support in a world that had turned its back on her. Kenji's insight and advice. Yet, even amidst the warmth of his reassurance, Kenji's advice struck a chord. "I suggest telling your mother about this," he gently recommended, taking another bite of his sandwich. Kane's eyes widened as she considered the possibility. She had kept her suffering hidden, fearing that even her mother might doubt her. But Kenji's certainty and understanding showed her that truth could bridge the gap between pain and healing. She looked at him, her gaze earnest, her heart torn between longing for her mother's comfort and dreading potential disbelief. "Trust me, I know Sheena-sensei more than you," he assured her, his smile unwavering. "She will believe you, as I believe you. After all, she is your family, and family always leans on each other in their bad times." The weight of those words settled on Kane's heart, stirring the courage she needed. Her mother was her anchor, her protector, and she owed it to herself to confide in her. The power of family and friendship. The day unfolded, the anticipation of change brewing within both families. Kenji had shared Kane's ordeal with his parents, and Chikashi, with his influence, had set things into motion. In the Tawada household, Kane had finally decided to open up to her mother, a decision that held the promise of healing. As the sun dipped below the horizon, both families found themselves united in purpose. Sheena, with her keen intuition as a mother, sensed Kane's unease and gently probed, her concern a soothing balm. "You should have told me this sooner," Sheena's voice held a mixture of sternness and comfort. "No matter what, Mommy would always believe in you, okay? From now on, if you have problems at school, tell me immediately." Kane's heart swelled at the sincerity in her mother's words. The barrier of fear that had kept her silent began to crumble, and the prospect of sharing her pain with the one person she trusted most felt liberating. The unfolding of justice. News spread like wildfire, a crescendo of justice that echoed through the nation. The once prestigious Shuian High School was rocked by a scandal that exposed the dark underbelly of its faculty and administration. Illicit drugs, blackmail, and child abuse unveiled a truth that had remained hidden for too long. As Kenji and Kane watched the breaking news on their respective screens, a sense of satisfaction and closure washed over them. The walls of injustice were crumbling, and the bullies who had tormented Kane were facing consequences for their actions. In the Tawada household, Sheena's gaze was fixed on the screen, a mixture of shock and anger visible on her face. Her daughter's tormentors were being held accountable, the truth too powerful to suppress any longer. A new dawn of healing. The storm of justice had swept away the darkness that had clouded Kane's world for so long. With each name that flashed on the screen, Kane's heart grew lighter, the weight of her suffering slowly dissipating. As the news cycle continued, life began to shift for Kane. The tormentors who had haunted her had been unmasked, their power stripped away. The students who had once whispered behind her back now averted their eyes in shame, understanding the magnitude of their complicity. In Kenji, Kane had found a friend who had not only believed her but had wielded his influence to right the wrongs inflicted upon her. The bond they shared became a beacon of hope, proof that genuine friendship and support could overcome even the darkest of times. With each passing day, as the sun rose and set, Kane and Kenji's friendship deepened. Their shared experiences had forged a connection that transcended the trials they had faced. And as they navigated the challenges of school and life together, they found solace in the promise of a brighter future, one where justice prevailed and true friendships blossomed. Chapter 06 A Day at Disneyland. The following day dawned with an air of excitement as Kane and Kenji stepped into the familiar surroundings of their school. But today, Kane's gaze held a curious intensity as she fixed her eyes on Kenji. Something was different, and her curiosity couldn't be contained any longer. "What's wrong?" Kenji's voice was as casual as ever, muffled slightly by a mouthful of his bacon sandwich. A moment of silence passed before Kane finally spoke, her words laced with a hint of anticipation. "Did you do it?" Kenji, knowing exactly what she was referring to, nodded in affirmation. "Didn't I say it yesterday? That I'll take care of it." With a mixture of gratitude and relief, Kane's lips curved into a small smile. "Thank you," she whispered, before taking a bite of her egg sandwich. The roles reversed as Kenji found himself staring at her, his curiosity getting the better of him. "What?" And so, the exchange continued, a dance of unspoken words and shared understanding. Kane's curiosity sated, she enjoyed the warmth of the moment, finding solace in the fact that she wasn't alone anymore. Friendly quarrels and shared laughter. As the day progressed, Kenji and Kane found themselves playfully debating the merits of egg sandwiches versus bacon sandwiches. The light-hearted banter was a stark contrast to the heaviness they had both carried not long ago. The bell rang, signaling the end of their good-natured dispute. Before they could resume their routine, Kenji added a twist to the conversation, explaining the nutritional benefits of bacon. Kane's befuddled expression was met with a chuckle from Kenji as he decided to let the topic rest. With a playful grin, Kenji dashed down the stairs, Kane hot on his heels. Their laughter echoed through the corridors, a testament to their growing friendship and the freedom from the past shadows. A new day, a new dawn. The school day unfolded like a dream for Kane. The torment that had once plagued her had vanished overnight, leaving her in a state of wonder. No bullies, no destroyed books, no tormenting teachers. It was as if a new chapter had begun. For a girl who had endured a month of darkness, this newfound freedom tasted like the sweetest nectar. And as she glanced at Kenji, the boy who had pulled her out of the abyss, a warm, fluffy feeling enveloped her heart. She had found a friend, a protector, and a beacon of light in her life. 5 years later, the passage of time was marked by growth and change, and for Kenji, these 5 years had been nothing short of remarkable. His already impressive strength had surged to new heights, with his capability to lift weight reaching staggering proportions. The once young boy had transformed into an awe-inspiring force, attracting attention from all corners of the world. However, the path he walked wasn't one of mere physical strength. His friendship with Kane had flourished, their bond deepening with each passing day. Their adventures, laughter, and shared secrets had formed an unbreakable connection between them. Kenji's journey also led him to a new title hunter. But even this designation couldn't capture the extent of his power. His potential was limitless, a fact that had nations vying for his allegiance. Yet, his family's influence held these attempts at bay, leaving him free to carve his own path. A day at Disneyland. One day, as vacation blanketed the horizon, Kane and Kenji found themselves in a familiar setting. Kenji's room. Engrossed in a game, their laughter filled the air until boredom intervened. With a shared sigh, they laid back on the bed, contemplating their next move. Kane's exclamation broke the silence. "It's so boring." Kenji's response was swift, an idea forming in his mind. "Well, it's our vacation. Maybe I should ask my parents to take us to Disneyland." Kane's enthusiasm was palpable as she agreed, "Okay, let's go." The decision was met with a series of preparations. Soon enough, they found themselves in a limousine, on their way to Disneyland. Conversations flowed freely within the car, anecdotes from the world of hunters and their accomplishments dominating the discourse. As they discussed renowned names like Go Gun-hee and Thomas Andre, Kenji couldn't help but take mental notes. These were the challenges he aspired to face, battles that would truly test his strength. Upon arrival, the day was marked by joyous rides, laughter, and carefree exploration. Kane's excitement was infectious, her enthusiasm lighting up even the most mundane moments. Amidst the joy, an idea took root, and Kane pointed at a towering Ferris wheel. "Let's ride that one." The challenge was real. As adults only ride, it posed an obstacle to their ambitions. Yet Kane's persistence, coupled with her irresistible pout, softened Chikashi's stance. The trio found themselves within the Ferris wheel's embrace, Sheena joining them to ensure their safety. And then, an unexpected turn of events left Sheena unconscious, while Kenji and Kane found themselves on the ride alone. Despite the unexpected circumstances, Kane's emotions began to stir as she turned to Kenji. "Will you also leave me?" Her vulnerability was a stark contrast to the playful atmosphere around them. Kenji's response was immediate, his words brimming with sincerity. "I'll never leave you." The assurance struck a chord within Kane, the tears in her eyes a testament to the depth of her emotions. As exhaustion took over, she drifted into slumber, finding comfort in Kenji's presence. A glimpse of the future. As Kane slept against his shoulder, Kenji's gaze was tender. Their roles may have been reversed in that moment, but his sense of responsibility remained unchanged. He couldn't help but muse, "Am I the adult here?" The scene encapsulated the essence of their friendship, a bond that transcended time and trials. From battling darkness to sharing laughter, they had walked a path of growth and healing, guided by the strength of their connection. And as the years marched on, promising new challenges and discoveries, Kenji and Kane were ready to face the future together, their friendship a guiding light in a world of uncertainty. Chapter 07: The Battle Against the Spiders. The aftermath of the Ferris wheel ride was marked by shock and chaos. Sheena's self-deprecating mutterings only escalated as they walked through the park, her worries amplified by the recent events. With each step, the tension in the air seemed to thicken. A sudden scream pierced the atmosphere, prompting everyone's attention to snap towards the source. Chikashi's instinctual response was to usher his wife and daughter to safety, casting them a reassuring glance before sprinting towards the disturbance, Hana following closely behind. As they reached the scene, the source of the commotion became clear. An immense gate spewed forth spider-like monsters, turning the once vibrant amusement park into a scene of chaos and carnage. Lifeless bodies littered the ground, a grim testament to the fierce battle that had taken place. Hana's fighting prowess became evident as she unleashed a flurry of powerful strikes against the monstrous invaders. Her fists were a force to be reckoned with, creating shockwaves that sent the spiders flying. Beside her, Chikashi tended to the wounded survivors, offering his healing abilities to those in need. In the midst of the battle, a venomous attack was launched at Hana from behind. With impeccable timing, a protective barrier materialized, blocking the deadly assault. She turned to find her husband, Chikashi, standing resolutely, his eyes and hand glowing with an undeniable power. The memories of their shared history flashed through her mind, reminding her of the strength and bravery that had drawn her to him in the first place. Meanwhile, another threat loomed behind Chikashi, a spider poised to strike. Just as it lunged, a blur of movement intercepted it, sending it hurtling away. Hana's gaze followed the blur, revealing Kane with fiery red eyes and an aura of determination. The sight triggered a warm memory in Hana, the time Kane had saved her. With a knowing smile, Hana locked eyes with her daughter before turning her attention back to the battle. The arachnid horde surrounded the couple, yet their unity remained unshaken. Their synchronized movements, honed by years of partnership, allowed them to fend off the monstrous onslaught. Punches and kicks landed with precision, pushing the spiders back. With a shared nod, they stood back to back, ready to face whatever came their way. Amidst the chaos, Sheena, Kane, and Kenji were being escorted away by vigilant bodyguards. But the odds seemed insurmountable as a colossal spider blocked their path. Panic began to set in as countless smaller spiders advanced from the opposite direction, trapping them. In a moment of peril, flames erupted, consuming the smaller spiders in waves of searing heat. The source of the flames stood before them, a man with a commanding presence, a gray beard and hair framing his face. His warm gaze and reassuring smile dispelled their fears, earning him the title of uncle from the children. Back at the epicenter of the battle, Chikashi and Hana's perseverance was met with a surge of reinforcements. Kenji, Kane, and Shina appeared on the scene, their intent to save their loved ones resolute. Amidst the chaos, Hana's voice broke through, questioning their presence. Kenji's response was laced with determination, emphasizing their mission to protect their family. A mix of emotions swirled within Chikashi and Hana, their pride in Kenji's strength, and the underlying worry for his safety. As the battle raged on, Kenji displayed his immense power with every move. His blows were precise and efficient, each punch a testament to his mastery over his abilities. Freeze breath turned enemies into frozen statues, and dark red beams sliced through adversaries with ease. The battle was his canvas, and he painted it with a display of raw strength and mastery. However, his power was not wielded without consequence. The dark red glow in his eyes mirrored the intensity of his emotions: anger, determination, and the fierce desire to protect. As the battle wore on, it was clear that his power came at a cost, draining his energy and leaving him vulnerable. Amid the fray, Kane found herself saved by Kenji's timely intervention, an experience that further deepened her admiration for him. The atmosphere was tense, emotions running high as each participant fought valiantly to repel the relentless arachnid assault. The arrival of professional hunters finally turned the tide of battle. The park, once a battleground, was now a scene of victory as the monstrous spiders were defeated and their numbers dwindled. But it was the image of Kenji seated atop a mound of spider corpses, his aura of power undeniable, that left a lasting impact. The commotion attracted the attention of online observers, sparking speculation and admiration. As the bloggers shared their thoughts, the remarkable display of strength and unity among the family of hunters ignited fascination and curiosity. As the battle subsided, the connection between the hunters and the mysterious spiders remained unclear. Yet one truth was undeniable: the Akano family's strength and unity were an unyielding force, capable of facing even the most daunting challenges. The next day, the Akano family was all over the news in Japan. Reporter: today, we shall discuss the hottest topic that has been circulating the whole of Japan this week. Reporter: last week, a dungeon outbreak occurs in Disneyland, California, where spider-like monsters wreak havoc inside the park. The good news is, the famous duo Shaman and Boulderfist were having their vacation in Disneyland when the dungeon outbreak occurs. But that is not the only thing that is hot right now. Reporter: the son of the duo, Akano Kenji, better known as the youngest hunter in history, was recorded fighting these monsters with a specific set of skills. Reporter: according to a monster specialist, the spider monsters were confirmed to be B-rank monsters while the bigger ones were A-rank monsters. If this is true, then Japan will be welcoming its newest S-rank hunter. Inomiya, reporting news live here in HVM News Station. Akano household, you're famous now, Chikashi said to Kenji while sipping on his coffee. Meanwhile, Kenji, who had just gotten down from his room after waking up, heard his father and smiled wearily. He does like the feeling of being famous. But being famous does come at a price. Blackmail, assassinations, cyberbullying, and many more. But of course, with a price, there is value to it. Not only does he have fans that will support him, but he would also get special treatment wherever he goes and many more. Good morning. Kane came downstairs while still rubbing her eyes. The Akano family greeted her back. Yesterday, both mother and daughter duo were scared by what happened, so they asked the Akano family to let them stay at their mansion. Flashback. When they went back to Japan, they encountered countless reporters and flashes of light from their cameras while asking their questions. Chikashi and Hana were the ones answering their question while Kenji butted in whenever the question is about him, and before long, they dismissed the reporters and drove back home. As they arrived, Kane spoke. "See, can I sleep with you, Kenji?" As she spoke, she was flustered and her cheeks were blushing. She felt that she was too bold to ask Kenji to sleep with her. So when she was just about to take back her words, before she could complete her sentence, she was cut off by Kenji. "I don't mind," Kenji said. Back in his previous life, he slept beside his daughter Ellie whenever she had bad dreams, so for him, this is half normal and half bad. Half bad, because Kenji knows her feelings for him, but he just pretended to be oblivious to it. I mean, she's a goddamn child. He's not a pedo. Maybe when she's in her 20s, he'll consider it. But not now. When Kane heard his answer, Her blushing intensifies while thoughts were running through her mind. We'll sleep together. What if I smell bad? I need to take a shower first. Then I'll brush my teeth in case wee. Unknown to her, smoke was rushing out on top of her head. Meanwhile, Kenji could already guess what was inside her mind. What a lewd child. He shook his head, but then he remembered that their parents were also inside the car, so when he looked at them, he saw his parents giving him thumbs up, while Sheena was glaring at him coldly while muttering, "You dare take away my daughter from me. Al fister tier hano obstai demonio hagamos un traito." Is she summoning Satan? Kenji felt like laughing when he heard her incantation. Kenji ignored them, and soon they entered the mansion, but they first all had their dinner before going to bed. Meanwhile, Kenji was inside the bathroom, rinsing his body with warm water before soaking his body in the bathtub. While he was at it, he was scrolling down on his phone. Korea's strongest S-rank hunter Go Gun He cleared another A-rank gate along with A-rank hunter Woo Jin-chul. A-rank gate opened near White House. Thomas Andre to the rescue. Akano Kenji, son of Akano Chikashi and Akano Hana, saved Disneyland. Top 2 Asia's strongest Azura Kishimoto challenged Lu Jigang, Asia's top 1 strongest. Kenji immediately stopped reading. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with people nowadays? He shook his head before standing and going out of the tub, but then he noticed his little brother standing proudly, making him embarrassed. Well, I'm growing, so this is normal, he muttered before he went out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around his lower body, but when he opened the door he felt that he hit something which caused him to look down, and saw Kane blushing while averting her eyes. Kenji squints his eyes before muttering, "Pervert," which was heard by Kane, making her look at him in both fear and shock. Wait, this is just a Ms., but Kenji didn't let her finish her sentence. Oh, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the maid who I noticed peeking inside my room. Then he pointed out the door, which Kane looked at, and surely, she saw a pair of eyes widening in shock before running away. Seeing this, Kane sighed in relief before lowering her head and going inside the bathroom. Kenji just chuckled at this before dressing himself, and right on time, he saw Kane going outside the bathroom fully dressed. He nodded at her and said, "Let's sleep." He then placed a futon near the bed and grabbed some pillows and blankets before lying down. Kane just stared at him with an O expression before shaking her head and said, "You can sleep in the bed, I'll take the futon." Though deep inside her, she was expecting Kenji to be a gentleman and disagree with her, or maybe he'll do like those mangas she read and make him share the bed with her, but his expectations were crushed. "Oh, okay," Kenji said before jumping out of the futon and lying on the bed. Meanwhile, Kane stared again before lowering her head in sadness, but when she was just about to lie down on the futon, she saw Kenji looking at her while smiling playfully. The mechanic worked on her mind before she shouted in her mind, "He's teasing me," before pouting while Kenji laughed out loud. Kenji then makes space beside him and patted him while saying, "I was just teasing you, come here, let's sleep together." Kane nodded and blushed before lying down next to Kenji, who turned off the lamp beside him. A few minutes later, Kane can't take the silence anymore and said, "Kenji, are asleep?" She then received a reply. "Yeah, you too? Isn't it obvious, you're talking to me now?" Kane smirked at him. This is her revenge. But then she received no response. She thought that she went too far, so she turned around and was about to apologize, but when she turned she saw him looking at him with a smirk. "Want to apologize?" Kenji teased. Kane pouted in fake anger before turning back around and closing her eyes to sleep. Kenji shakes his head before lying down again, but then he heard her speak. "Thank you. You're welcome," replied the smiling Kenji before also closing his eyes to go to sleep. Chapter 09 Assessment and Intrigue. The next day dawned as a new chapter in Kenji's life unfolded. Breakfast was a mix of excitement and tension, the air charged with anticipation. As Kane and Kenji left for school, Chikashi and Sheena headed to their respective responsibilities, while Hana remained at home. Being a CEO had its perks, allowing her flexibility in her office attendance. Amidst the routine, a subtle yet ominous presence lurked outside the mansion. An invisible figure shadowed the movements of the limo, setting in motion a series of events that would soon unfurl. Inside the limo, Kenji and Kane navigated the awkwardness that hung in the air. Kane's shyness made her avoid Kenji's gaze, while he found the situation more amusing than discomforting. The limo suddenly came to a halt, and a swift, invisible assailant launched an attack on the bodyguards. Kenji's reflexes kicked in, his formidable strength repelling the attacker effortlessly. As the invisible figure became visible, clad in a black spandex suit reminiscent of a ninja, Kenji's curiosity was piqued. A brief discussion with his guards unveiled the true identity: an assassin-class hunter from a secretive ninja organization. Kenji's calm interrogation revealed that the attacker belonged to an organization of assassins known as Ninja. This revelation raised the stakes, as he realized the extent of his enemies and the need to be vigilant. The encounter ended with Kenji neutralizing the assailant and turning his thoughts toward practicing his enhanced hearing ability. Back at the mansion, his parents reassured him that they would handle the situation. Their words carried both determination and a hint of mystery, leaving Kenji with more questions than answers. The Akano family's influence extended far and wide, a fact Kenji was well aware of, but the ease with which his parents claimed they would deal with the ninja organization intrigued him. With the dawn of a new day, Kane and Kenji embarked on another school day. However, their arrival at school prompted an unusual reaction. The school fell silent as the duo entered, all eyes fixed on them. Emotions ranging from fear to admiration, envy to affection, danced within the gazes directed at Kenji. Despite the attention, he maintained his composure and moved towards his classroom, leaving a wake of murmurs behind him. The school day followed its routine, a mix of classes and interactions. Kenji and Kane's presence continued to stir whispers, their roles in the recent events elevating them to an almost mythical status. As the school day concluded, they returned home, ready to tackle their daily responsibilities. Over the course of a week, this pattern persisted: school, home, and the quiet watchfulness of an unseen threat. Kenji's growing unease over the ninja organization lingered, pushing him to seek answers. Finally, an opportunity arose. The Hunter Association contacted Kenji, initiating an assessment of his abilities. It was a chance to gauge his mana levels and determine his hunter rank. Both his parents supported the idea, and amidst media frenzy, the Akano family arrived at the Hunter Association. The entrance was met with the usual barrage of cameras and reporters, all vying for a glimpse of the renowned hunters. Chikashi's casual wave contrasted with the intense curiosity of the media. Kenji, stepping out of the limo, faced the onslaught of flashing lights and captured attention. He acknowledged his parents' presence before proceeding inside with a calm demeanor. The Hunter Association buzzed with activity, scientists and officials going about their business. Guided by a suited man, they made their way deeper into the building, leading to a spacious hall. There, an old man donned in samurai armor stood beside scientists and a man in a yellow suit. Ban, the samurai-clad man, extended a warm welcome, acknowledging Chikashi as if they were old acquaintances. Shigeo, the man in the yellow suit, introduced himself with a smile that Kenji found rather insincere. Amid the formalities, Kenji couldn't shake the feeling that Shigeo was harboring ulterior motives. His years of experience in his past life had honed his ability to read people through their eyes. Shigeo's smile didn't reach his eyes, and the lurking greed beneath the surface was a familiar trait that Kenji had encountered in corrupt politicians. As Ban began to address them, Kenji's thoughts veered toward the essence of the matter: the assessment that awaited him. The realization that his mana and rank would be evaluated brought a mix of excitement and curiosity. He was ready to unveil the depths of his abilities, even as the intrigue surrounding the organization of assassins remained at the back of his mind. Chapter 10: Unveiling Abilities and Confrontation. The assessment process commenced with Kenji's introduction to the energy testing. Placing his hand on a glowing ball, Kenji's confusion about the term energy in place of mana lingered momentarily. The ball's dark red glow in response to his touch marked an unexpected outcome. As Ban inquired about the reading, the scientist revealed an error, suggesting Kenji's energy capacity surpassed even an S-rank hunter. Amid the astonishment, Chikashi proudly credited Kenji, while Hana showered her son with affectionate attention. The discrepancy between energy and mana perplexed Kenji, but the magnitude of his abilities couldn't be ignored. Shigeo, on the other hand, couldn't help but let his mind race, pondering how to align Kenji under his influence. The group moved on to a strength testing room, a situation that didn't seem entirely serious to the attendees. Ban's light-hearted attempt at humor garnered silence from the room. The cylindrical metal platform in the center of the room held Kenji's focus. As the weight gradually increased, Kenji's unwavering strength stunned everyone. The weights climbed to 200,000 kilograms, and Kenji's arms bore the brunt, twitching but not breaking. The astounding display of strength left even the Akano family dumbfounded. Shigeo's outburst of disbelief echoed the sentiments of the room. However, Kenji's resilience wasn't yet tested to its limits. Ban inquired if Kenji believed he could lift more the following year, and with a nod, the assessment continued. Proceeding to another room filled with various materials, Kenji's laser vision and freeze breath were put to the test. Each material, from rock to diamond, fell under the power of his abilities. The final challenge was a cloth renowned for its anti-magic properties, obtained from an A-rank gate. Amidst the marveling at Kenji's abilities, the discussion turned to the origins of the cloth. Cursed by the dungeon boss, it stripped the wearer of their mana, rendering it undesirable within the hunter community. A glint of interest flashed in Kenji's eyes, drawn by the unique properties of the cloth. Kenji's intention to buy it surprised everyone, but his cryptic response only deepened the intrigue surrounding him. Shigeo's frustration reached its peak as he challenged Kenji's attitude. Kenji's retort, laden with a jest and a reference from his past life, elicited laughter from Chikashi and Hana. Ban, observing the tension, found amusement in the situation, but Shigeo's patience wore thin. Unable to tolerate the perceived disrespect any longer, Shigeo's hand moved of its own accord, slapping Kenji's cheek with force. Kenji, however, didn't flinch or evade the blow, allowing Shigeo's slap to connect. The outcome, a wounded hand for Shigeo, left him in both physical and emotional pain. The contrast between their strengths was stark. Kenji, a powerhouse, and Shigeo, a mere mortal. Amidst the aftermath, a heavy silence hung in the air, an unspoken acknowledgement of Kenji's extraordinary abilities. The confrontation between him and Shigeo had further unveiled his power, deepening the mystery surrounding his potential and the motivations of those around him. Chapter 11: Testing Limits and Family Bonds. As Shigeo's outburst led to his expulsion from the assessment room, Ban apologized for the incident and continued the process. His concern about Kenji's apparent resentment toward Shigeo remained unspoken. However, Kenji's detached response, innocent facade, and Shigeo's intense glare raised suspicions in Ban's mind. Nonetheless, they moved forward with the defense testing. In the defense testing room, Kenji faced a barrage of challenges meant to test his durability. Stones, flames, and various other forces assailed him, only to be brushed off. Shigeo's actions had roused Kenji's irritability, but he channeled it into his resolve to prove himself. Kenji's unyielding resilience caught the attention of all present, and even Ban's desire to test the limits of Kenji's power was curtailed by his survival instincts. After the extensive testing, Kenji's clothes were tattered, leading to a change before the final assessment. The comprehensive examination left no doubt about Kenji's strength, mana, and durability. The conclusion was clear. He was a candidate for an S-rank hunter, and not just any S-rank, but the youngest in the world. As they left the Hunter Association, Kenji handled reporters' questions with restraint and wisdom, not revealing more than necessary. In the quiet of their limo, Kenji's father Chikashi shared his excitement for his son's achievement. Kenji admitted to being somewhat excited, his earlier apprehension dissolved by the positive outcome of the tests. Upon returning home, Kenji found his younger sister Kane engrossed in her toys. Their affectionate interaction, punctuated by Kane's enthusiastic hug, highlighted the bond between the siblings. Kane, perceptive as ever, questioned Kenji about his feelings toward Shigeo. Kenji's seemingly nonchalant answer didn't escape Kane's scrutiny, but she decided to share her brother's sentiment, showing her unwavering support. The familiarity and comfort between Kenji and Kane led them to discuss the events of the day and Kenji's assessment. Kane's probing question unveiled Kenji's underlying feelings, even if they remained a mystery to him. With Kane's insistence, the topic turned to a conversation about their developing brother-sister relationship. Amidst the heartwarming connection, dinner concluded the day, and both the Akano and Tawada families retired to rest, the events of the assessment still fresh in their minds. Bonds were solidified, and the dynamics within the family continued to evolve. Chapter 12: Unforeseen Threats. The announcement of Kenji's new S-rank hunter status reverberated throughout Japan, sparking excitement and curiosity among the populace. As news outlets buzzed with speculation and hope for the nation's resurgence, Kenji and his family were unassuming, enjoying a calm breakfast together. Meanwhile, within the confines of his office, Shigeo's bitterness escalated into malevolent planning. He devised a sinister scheme involving Kenji, with elaborate steps meant to ensnare him. Shigeo's twisted intentions took form as he sought to manipulate Kenji's actions to fulfill his grand plan, envisioning the teenager's eventual downfall. Back in the Akano residence, Kenji's family breakfast was made up of monster-source delicacies, reflecting their high status. Kenji's request for a custom-made suit based on Superman's design prompted his father's enthusiastic approval, while his mother playfully teased her husband. The affectionate family dynamic was palpable as they indulged Kenji's wishes, further solidifying their bonds. Chikashi's day led him to a village in need of assistance after a gate breach. His sense of duty and altruism drove him to provide aid and support to the affected people, revealing his compassionate nature beyond his charismatic facade. Hana, on the other hand, faced intrigue and danger in her office, adding an element of mystery to her character. The diverse activities of Kenji's parents showcased their individual strengths, emphasizing their roles as prominent figures in society. The siblings, Kenji and Kane, shared a heartwarming moment as they traveled to school. Kenji's keen awareness saved them when the limo came to an abrupt stop. Utilizing his superhuman speed, he secured his sister and the driver before dealing with the imminent danger posed by an RPG missile. Kenji's actions demonstrated his heightened reflexes and ability to manipulate time perception in high-stress situations. Engaging the attackers, Kenji's strategic prowess was on full display. He immobilized the assailants, disarming and incapacitating them with calculated precision. His use of a rigged RPG missile showcased his resourcefulness and capability to turn their own weapon against them. Amid the chaos, Kenji's curiosity was piqued by the revelation that the attackers were Americans, raising questions about their motivations. As the eventful morning unfolded, Kenji's family, his parents immersed in their individual endeavors, remained unaware of his heroic intervention. The chapter highlighted Kenji's quick thinking, combat skills, and the looming threats that his newfound status attracted. The story continued to weave a tapestry of family bonds, intrigue, and unforeseen challenges. Chapter 13: Deceptive Smiles and Unveiled Plans. A sudden explosion disrupted the tranquil atmosphere of Shuian High School, plunging the campus into chaos. Panicked students fled in all directions, while teachers struggled to comprehend the situation and summoned the police for assistance. Despite their confusion, the school's security measures proved effective as the C-rank hunter on duty apprehended curious students attempting to investigate the blast. In the midst of this turmoil, Kane's thoughts raced as she believed she was facing her end. However, her vision blurred, and she found herself transported behind a tree alongside the driver, saved by Kenji's timely intervention. A mixture of relief and confusion washed over her, and she experienced an overwhelming rush of emotions, ultimately leading to her fainting when Kenji revealed himself. Kenji's mastery over time manipulation, combat skills, and quick thinking shone as he effortlessly saved Kane and the driver from danger. His calm demeanor and resourcefulness in high-stress situations underscored his status as an S-rank hunter. Despite his incredible abilities, he remained humble and unfazed by the accolades of those around him. Kenji's interactions with his bodyguards, who had been saved by him for the second time, highlighted his grounded personality. Despite their attempts to accept punishment, Kenji brushed aside their pleas and focused on more pressing matters, such as arriving at school on time. His natural leadership and sense of responsibility were evident in his handling of the situation. As Kenji and Kane arrived at school, the chaotic scene transformed into relief as students recognized the presence of the new S-rank hunter. Kenji's assurance that the situation was a false alarm calmed their fears, highlighting his role as a symbol of safety and strength within the community. Intriguingly, Kenji's thoughts during the chaos reflected his disbelief at the notion of a country testing weapons on their school. His skeptical perspective hinted at his ability to see through deception and his growing awareness of the threats that surrounded him. The chapter then transitioned to Kenji's return home, where he encountered Shigeo engaging in friendly conversation with his parents. Kenji's simple greeting and Kane's reaction portrayed their sibling dynamic, emphasizing their close relationship. Shigeo's cunning and deceptive smile, however, conveyed a hidden agenda. Shigeo's proposition of a D-rank gate raid concealed ulterior motives, and Kenji's internal thoughts hinted at his understanding of the situation's complexity. The Akano family's cautious observation of Shigeo demonstrated their discernment and unwillingness to be easily manipulated. Kenji's agreement to participate in the raid, despite knowing its true nature, highlighted his willingness to play along and uncover Shigeo's intentions. The family's casual interaction with Shigeo showcased their unity, though Kenji and his father shared an understanding of Shigeo's true nature. Chikashi's explanation of his investigations into Shigeo's dealings added layers to the story's intrigue, revealing the complexity of the characters' relationships and motivations. As the chapter concluded, the family's banter and Hana's playful threat of sleeping on the couch contrasted with Chikashi's silent turmoil, hinting at the depth of their interactions beyond the surface. The narrative skillfully balanced action, suspense, and familial dynamics, creating an engaging and multidimensional storyline.